We have been discussing the laws of prayer, mistakes in prayer, short prayers, long prayers, saying the name of the person you're praying for, if you're in front of them, if you're not in front of them, and the difference between the first blessings of the Shemona Esrei, the middle blessings, the end blessings of the Shemona Esrei, reciting a request in the end blessings of the Shemona Esrei or in the beginning blessings. Normally the requests are supposed to be in the middle, but we do find that there are some requests that are in the beginning and in the end. And this is actually an interesting topic, the request, because the Rambam writes that the way the Shemona Esrei is divided up is you have in the beginning of the Shemona Esrei praise to Hashem. It's all about praise, the first three blessings. Then you have the intermediate requests. Then you have the final blessings. And the final blessings, the Rambam calls it hoidah, which is praise. And the source of the Rambam's statement that there's shevach, bakasha, and hoidah, praise, then requests, then thanks. The source of that is seemingly our Gemara, because our Gemara says that Rabbi Chanina says the first blessings are like an eved, a servant that is presenting praise before his master. The middle blessings is he's asking for a pras from his master. A pras could mean a reward. It could mean a piece or a half. He's asking for his needs from his master. And the last blessings are similar to a servant that received already his pras from his master, and he takes permission to leave and he goes. So that implies from that Gemara that we just read, that's on the page that we're on, that Gemara implies like the first blessings are praise, middle blessings are request, the final blessings are thanks. The question on that is that if you look at our Shemona Esrei, the last blessings of our Shemona Esrei have ritzei, v'sechazena. This is all a request that Hashem should enjoy. We ask Hashem that he should return the Shechina, the divine presence, to Zion, to Yerushalayim, should rebuild the Beis Hamikdash. That's a request. And we also ask Sim Shalom, place peace. Hashem should give us peace. So these seem to be requests, and we are supposed to be thanking Hashem. So where do these requests fit in the last three blessings of the Shemona Esrei? And I mentioned yesterday Tosfos. Tosfos over here on the page says that you are also allowed to ask for the nation's needs during the end brachas of Shemona Esrei. And the Tosfos on the bottom says, it Tosfos 3 lines up from the bottom of the page. He says that the only limit is when you're asking for your personal needs. But tzarchei tzibor, the communal needs, that you could ask. And it implies from Tosfos that he holds you could ask in the beginning and in the end. The beginning 3 brachas and in the end brachas. And he explains that's why we say Zochreinu. Zochreinu is in the beginning brachas. Zochreinu, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We ask Hashem to remember us for life. And then he says in the end brachas as well. And he says the proof that because it's public, it's allowed, the proof is some of the main brachas in the end are recited in their tzarchei tzibur, their communal blessing. So it's allowed. So the question is why? Why is it allowed if it's a blessing for the community, it's a blessing for the congregation, for the nation? Why is that allowed? So I mentioned yesterday that because it's a need, everyone needs Hashem. What you're saying to Hashem is, Hashem, you're so great. Everyone needs you. And it fits the element of praise for Hashem by telling Hashem, everyone needs you. We all need you to bless us with peace. We all need you to rebuild the Beis Hamikdash. Everyone needs you. You are so needed by everyone. That's a great praise for Hashem. Now, that fits very well if you don't emphasize that the last blessings are thanks. But if you just say the last blessings are like thanks and praise, sort of like you combine the two ideas, then you could say, well, it has in it elements of thanks, which is the moedim, hatoiv shimcha l'cha noah l'hoidos, that blessing, moedim, we thank you, Hashem. To you is fitting to give praise. That fits that, it's not only praise, and it's not only thanks, it's thanks and praise. And so this is also an element of praise. However, the Rambam does not say that the last three brachas are praise. He says they're thanks. He only uses the word thanks. There are other commentaries that seem to put the two together, thanks and praise for the last brachas. But the Rambam seems to only say praise, and the question is, how is the last blessings of the Shemona Esrei? How are they praise? How are they thanks? Excuse me. They're not thanks. There's one of them is thanks, but the others are not thanks. So that's what was bothering me, and I saw an answer. Ben, do you want to answer this question?
I have a question actually. Netzor is actually a personal request.
Yeah, but that's after the Shemona Esrei. That's not part of the blessing.
It's not part of the three blessings. I thought it was part of the three blessings.
No, it's not. No, that's
because
after.
They say,
the Shemona Esrei really ends at Hamavarech Asama Yisrael Bashalom. It ends, and then you say Yil L'Ratzain, and it's really over. And the Elakai Netzar is like an addition.
Because prayer. I was going to say, somebody said that at the end of Netzor, you can still add a personal request.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're going to talk about that. But
that's after Shemona Esrei, okay.
Yeah. So in any event, the question that I'm asking is, if the final blessings are all about thanks to Hashem, what is the meaning of bringing in requests, even if it's for the community, but it's requests? How does that fit? So if you want to say that it means it's still praise and praise is acceptable, I could understand that. It's praise because the community needs Hashem. You're emphasizing how everyone needs Hashem. That I understand. But if it's not praise, if it's only supposed to be thanks, that bothers me. How does the Rambam understand the text of the Shemona Esrei? Yes, Susan, did you want to answer that question?
Answer it? No. I was going to ask you another question. You said that we're allowed to ask for the nation's needs. Which nation?
Our nation.
The Israelis, the Hebrews.
The Jewish people.
Nation, the Jewish people. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. So I saw an answer, and I don't know the source. They don't bring the source, but I did see an answer that's very interesting, that initially when the Beis Hamikdash was standing, the Shemona Esrei did not have in it a request to return your Shechina, return your presence to Tzion, because it's there. When did they establish the Shmona Esrei? Right by the beginning of the second Beis Hamikdash, either right before it, right after it, but it's during that time period of the second Beis Hamikdash. And during that time period, either at the beginning after it was just built or right before it was built, but they're having the Shechina in the Beis Hamikdash. Are they going to recite the bracha Hamachazer Shechinasei L'Tzion, who returns its or Sim Shalom? In a certain sense, when you have the Shechina there already, it would seem you wouldn't say V'sechazana einenu, let our eyes see that the Shechina should be returned to Tzion. It's there. It is returned already. So the wording of the Shmona Esrei in the time of the second Beis Hamikdash was actually a thanking Hashem for returning the Shechina to Tzion, that he did bring it to Tzion already, and that he gave us peace, that we have peace. And the wording that we have, that we're asking Hashem, is after the destruction of the second Beis Hamikdash. After the destruction, it got changed to more of a request, but really it was thanks. Really, we were thanking Hashem for bringing the Shechina. That was a huge thanks to Hashem. So in other words, the blessings, the way they were established, were really blessings of thanks. Yes, Ezra.
Why can't, well, if in fact this was done at the beginning of the second Beit HaMikdash, then why couldn't the words as they stand be there? Because the fact that we had returned and we had in fact rebuilt the Beit HaMikdash, and then Hashem came back to us. So why couldn't the words have stated the way they are?
So some of the words don't see b'sechazena einenu b'shuvcha l'tzion b'rachamim. Those words
after the first Beit HaMikdash is destroyed.
V'hashev ha'avoda l'dvir beisecha. What did you say? I'm sorry.
But Rabbi, when Ezra brought back the people to Eretz Yisrael, and they built the Beit HaMikdash, why couldn't we have said those words?
I don't think they would fit. If you build the Beit HaMikdash already, how would you say v'sechazena einenu v'hashev ha'avoda l'dvir beisecha?
Because we came back. We came back.
It's in a future tense asking. The term, the tense. In other words, the wording is very similar, but the tense is wrong. It's instead of a future tense, it should be a past tense. And thanks. So the wording is not really off. But what it would seem like, according to this explanation, this answers our problem, because what comes out is they were actually thanking Hashem, that thank you for returning the Shechina to Tzion. And it was a thanks for giving us peace between you and us, Hashem, and allowing us to have the Beis HaMikdash again.
But Rabbi, I would have a problem with that, because if that's the case and that's missing, then you only have 17 brachot before the addition of Shmuel HaKatan's next bracha.
No, so they said a bracha, Hamachzer Shechinasei L'Tzion, but the wording of that entire paragraph was a little different. In other words, they're thanking Hashem for doing that, but it's in a more of a thanks, like Hatoiv Shimcha L'Chonra L'Hodos is clearly purely thanks. So this would have also been thanks. I don't know if the wording, if they changed the actual wording of the Baruch Atah Hashem, or was it only the first part of that bracha, but like Ritzei, V'hashev ha'avoda l'dvir beisecha. It would be more like V'heshiv, he did already. It would be, in a past tense. V'sechazena einenu. It would be more like a past tense, like, V'heshiv b'shuvcha L'tzion Berachim, not V'sechazena, but you know, I don't know Hebrew so well, but somehow a past tense of
wouldn't it
V'sechazena.
have been discussed in the Gemara?
In the present.
Wouldn't it have been discussed in the Gemara? All these changes.
So it's probably, if this is correct, if this pshat is the correct pshat, I'm guessing that because you're talking about a difference of a past tense and a future tense, it's not mentioned. In other words, the Gemara was written hundreds of years after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. So the wording that we have has not changed since the time of the Gemara, and a few hundred years before the time of the Gemara, it was also this wording. So it's talking about like a situation that was during the time of the second Beis Hamikdash, and which is not exactly applicable in the time of the Gemara, in the writing of the Gemara. So the fact that there might have been a difference of tense, but I believe it, if this pshat is right, even so, you were talking about a tiny little difference of a past tense and a future tense. So it's not like a huge thing, but that past tense makes it into a blessing of praise. He returned the avodah. He returned the avodah to his palace. But thank you. In other words, the difference between the past tense and the future tense, you're talking about a few letters of difference, and so therefore it fits. Initially, this is the concept of the praise, of the thanks, and now in the time of the destruction, we needed to change it to a future tense. In other words, we kept to the structure of how the blessings were. And the only thing is, we can't fully thank Hashem for doing it already, but it's more like we trust that he's going to do it, and we're thankful that he is going to return the avodah and so on. So it's some type of a thanks, but it's not the regular thanks that you would think, because the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed now. So that's the answer that I found to explain the Rambam, and I wish I wish they would write a source here. They don't. Anyway.
But Rabbi.
Yes.
I think that Techazen Einenu could also be present, not past and not future. We are seeing your return to us.
How about Vehesh?
How about what? Beshuvcha.
Yeah,
It's
Beshuvcha.
okay. You are okay. We are seeing your return. We are glad to see your return.
Maybe. Let me think for a second.
I just want to say this is fascinating. This is really incredible, because what you're saying is that the tense, it's critical.
Of course. So we say v'hashev. Ben, you're the expert over here. I'm just a student of yours in the Hebrew grammar. So it says v'hashev ha'avodah. Would v'hashev mean present? I mean, it definitely means future.
It says.
What?
I thought it says b'shuvcha le'tzion.
That's another word, but let's go back to v'hashev ha'avodah l'dver beisecha.
Okay, you returned the work to the Beit HaMikdash.
V'hashev, would that be, definitely means future. Could it mean present? That's what I'm asking.
Could mean present, yeah.
It could, v'hashev?
Yeah.
Maybe
it's
vowelization.
It depends on the whole sentence.
On the what? It depends on?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, what did you just say? It depends on the what?
On the whole sentence.
On the whole sentence. So that sentence.
Yeah.
She'e
is present.
Okay.
Yeah, could be present.
V'hashev, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So maybe the meaning of it then has changed. In other words, the wording didn't really change, but now the meaning of it is the future. And then when the Beis Hamikdash was in existence, the meaning of it was present. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe you don't have to change the words. It's just the meaning has changed. So
No,
now it
it's-
seems like a prayer of begging Hashem. In the past, it was more of a praise because the meaning meant present. I personally don't from my knowledge of grammar, I don't know. I think v'hashev really means the future, and maybe they just changed the vowels and said v'heshiv. I think they probably said v'heshiv.
Ashivcha means you returned before.
Anyway, we don't have a lot of time, but listen, I can't argue with you because I don't know Hebrew that well. But
Rabbi,
but
wouldn't
maybe.
the vowelization of Etechezena could be either in the Kal or in the PL font, depending upon where you put the vowelizations, and so it could be a difference between one form of the verb and another form of the verb.
Ezra,
One could be in the present, one could be in the past.
just saying those words, PL and PL, you've already lost me. You're way beyond me. I do not know grammar like that. You're way above me. So you tell me what do you think based on this point?
I don't know. I'm assuming that perhaps because everything that appears in the Talmud has no vowelizations. I mean, we go by what our understanding is, but it could be v'techezena. Well, I'm not going to get into it.
What do you think it would mean? I'm just wondering, what would v'sechazena mean? What could it mean? What are the two options? The literal translation, could it mean past or present?
Well, it could be future or it could be present.
It could be present. And v'hashev, what do you think v'hashev means? Could that be future or present? V'hashev v'avoda?
The vav could be a vav haifuch. That's past or present, depending on
could be past even. Could even be past. You're saying v'hashev.
Ashivcha would be in the past.
See, I was always taught that Hebrew grammar is one of the hardest grammars in the world.
It is.
And most people I know don't know Hebrew grammar like you, Ezra and Ben. So we're very lucky to have you here.
I'm just saying, I pulled out my book on Hebrew verbs, and I looked at because I was looking at the shorish of to see. Okay.
Yes.
Right. And I couldn't find it. The closest I got was Hazak, and there the Kal and the PL have. It's just a difference in vowelization between the two of the letters, and it changes
the whole meaning.
What you're trying to say.
Right.
Chazar could be past or present. Jose could be only present.
No. I'm looking at the fact that the ending has a na in it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that is a female form, which is only found in the biblical Hebrew. We don't use it.
Right.
In
modern Hebrew. Not only that, v'sechazena is really an Aramaic word. So it's really, it might be subject to the Aramaic laws of grammar rather than the Hebrew laws of grammar.
Okay.
That's another story, another addition, just an additional issue to add into this if this wasn't hard enough.
That I wouldn't know.
And Aramaic grammar is also not so easy, but in any event, but nothing's like Hebrew. Hebrew grammar is like impossible. So in any event, what this all boils down to is the question really is, and on a very practical example of this is Ya'aleh v'Yavai. Why did the rabbis include the blessing of Ya'aleh v'Yavai in the end of Shmoneh Esrei? We're talking about praising Hashem, and the blessing of Ya'aleh v'Yavai is all about requests. Our remembrance to be in front of you is very surprising. Why is it in the end of Shmoneh Esrei? We're supposed to be thanking Hashem or praising Hashem. So this is what it boils down to is the simple explanation that we said in Tosfos is the concept that the end brachas are praise or thanks. So you could have both praise or thanks in the end brachas. And the praise of Hashem is that everyone needs Hashem's blessings. The whole nation is subject to, we need you, Hashem. And so this is part of the praise of Hashem, that we all need you. And that's why they would have included Ya'aleh v'Yavai in the end of Shemona Esrei, together with the other things, Sefer HaChayim, and together with, in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, you have the Chsoiv L'Chaim Tovim, you have other things, but Ya'aleh v'Yavai is a very, it's a monthly prayer that we say every Rosh Chodesh. So it's very practical. Why? How does it belong there? And
because Rabbi, because of the end of the Ya'aleh v'Yavo, Le'achem aleinu v'hoshe'enu. It's not just only a praise. You're asking him to have rahmanut upon us and to save us, Hoshe'enu.
Yeah, but that's a request. That should not be in the end. It should be in the middle of the Shemona Esrei. Well,
because of the fact that maybe the beginning is a praise and the end is a request, they put it there.
Well, how is the beginning a praise? Which part of it?
But you said that you can ask for the nation.
So that's the explanation that I'm giving.
That's the request for the nation.
Right. It's a request for the nation. And the praise is that everyone needs Hashem. So that's one way of understanding it. And that also helps us understand the blessing of asking Hashem to return the Shekhinah to Tzion, return the divine presence, build the Beis HaMikdash, give us peace. These are all things that are like communal needs. And therefore, they fit in the end of the Shemona Esrei. The other way of understanding it is that initially these weren't really there in the end of Shemona Esrei, because the end of Shemona Esrei was praise, but they were there in a different form. They were there in a form of thanking Hashem for all these matters, and when the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash happened, they changed the tense to a past tense, so to speak. They changed the wording or the tense or the vowels, and they made it into a past tense, and it turned into more of a request. And that fits with the Rambam, who says specifically the last brachas are hoida'ah. They're praised. How are they praised? This is sort of how they are praised. Okay, so that is how at least that's so what I found to answer the Rambam. Now we're going to continue here, and we're at the last three lines of the Gemara. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis learned. And Tana Rabbanan means they learned in a brisa. The rabbis learned in a brisa. Elu brachos she'adam shoicha bahen. These are the brachos that a person is supposed to bow be'avos in the beginning bracha of the Shemona Esrei, techila v'soif, the beginning of it and the end of it, which means that when you start the Shemona Esrei, you bow, and then when you say the bracha of Magen Avraham, you bow, the beginning and the end of the first bracha. So in other words, it's really the first bracha, the first Baruch Atah Hashem, and then the bracha Magen Avraham, you bow. B'hoida'ah, in the end brachas of the Shemona Esrei, techila v'soif, the beginning and the end of that, which means by the moedim and by the Hatoiv Shimcha U'Lacha Noel Lohides. V'Imbala Shuach B'Soif called Bracha U'Bracha. If a person wants to bow at the end of every bracha, but Tchilas called Bracha U'Bracha, and in the beginning of every bracha, Melamdin Oisei Shalai Yishcha, we teach him that he should not bow. It's not appropriate. And we'll soon see a little more about this, but it's not appropriate to add to the bows. Amar Reb Shimon ben Pazi says, Amar Reb Shimon ben Levi, in the name of Reb Levi, Mishum bar Kapara, Hedyoit, a regular person, the law is, Kamai she'amarnu, like we said, that you only bow during these 4 times. And now we finally turn the page, Lamed Daled Amud Beis, we've now turned the page to side B. Kohen Gadol, the safe called Bracha U'Bracha. Kohen Gadol bows at the end of every bracha, v'hamelech tchilas kol bracha ubracha, v'soif kol bracha ubracha. So a Kohen Gadol bows because he's needs to have more humility. He bows at the end of every bracha. But a king who's so great, he needs even more humility. He bows in the beginning and in the end of every bracha. And then the Gemara continues on Rabbi Yitzchak bar Nachmani, L'didim partially minei Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. I understand the statement of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi that hedyot k'moshe amarnu. A regular person bows like we said. Kohen Gadol t'chilas kol bracha ubracha. Kohen Gadol, who's greater, he bows at the beginning. T'chilas kol bracha ubracha. Which means it's a little unclear the girsa here how to translate it, but the way he's explaining it is the Kohen Gadol, he bows at the beginning of every bracha, and Melech, the king, Kivan Shekara, since he bows, Shuv Einai Zoitev, he never picks his head up. Shenemar, as it says, as Shlomo finished praying, and it uses the term it says he got up from the where he was bowing. He finally got up. So we see that he finished his prayer and he got up from his bow, which means that he bowed the entire time. So this is the two versions sort of understanding Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi's statement of either the explanation was that a Kohen Gadol bows at the end of every bracha and the king bows in the beginning and the end of every bracha, or it means the Kohen Gadol bows in the beginning of every bracha and the king bows the entire time. But the main point, the idea is that the more powerful a person is, the more he needs to humble himself before Hashem. And we're going to stop here. I'm going to wish you all a very good Shabbos. Sei gesund. See you on Sunday, Mitzvah.